At 5 a.m., my house went dark, and when I checked the security cameras, there was HOA, Karen with a bolt cutter. She thought she could teach me a lesson for not following her so-called rules, but she didn't expect the police, the lawsuit, and her own HOA board to turn on her. It was barely 5:15. In the morning, when I heard the faint but distinct clink of metal outside my bedroom window, at first, I thought maybe the wind had knocked something loose. But as I pulled myself out of bed and peeked through the blinds, I froze. There she was. Our very own HOA president, Karen, crouched near my side yard with what looked like heavy-duty wire cutters in her hand. At that moment, I didn't yet know she was about to make one of the dumbest moves of her HOA career. I live on the edge of a cul-de-sac, and my power line runs from a utility pole in the back easement right into the side of my house. The junction box sits about 3 feet off the ground, exactly where Karen was working. In her little leopard print bathrobe, muttering something about rules under her breath, I grabbed my phone and quietly started recording through the blinds, zooming in on her every movement. She looked around, saw no one else, and then with one confident snip severed the thick black cable feeding power to my home. Immediately, my entire house went dark. My refrigerator stopped humming. The alarm clock by my bed went black, and even the small hum from my fish tank filters went silent. I almost laughed. This was so absurd it felt staged. But Karen wasn't done. She stuffed the cut cable ends into a grocery bag, looked over her shoulder again, and scurried off toward her own property. Asterisk, here's the thing. Karen has had it out. For me, ever since I challenged one of her ridiculous HOA lawn inspections 2 months ago, she'll fine me $250 for having a non-compliant mailbox that, according to her, didn't match the rest of the neighborhood. I took her to the county zoning office, proved that mailboxes were not under HOA jurisdiction in our area, and had her fine reversed. She's been giving me the stink eye ever since, whispering to her cronies during meetings, and sending me passive-aggressive letters about proper community conduct. But this was sabotage. The moment she cut my power, she crossed the line from petty HOA harassment to a full-on criminal act. Asterisk, since I'd been recording the whole thing. I decided not to confront her right away. Instead, I called the non-emergency police line, explained that a neighbor had just trespassed onto my property and cut my electrical lines, and that I had video evidence. Within 20 minutes, a patrol car was in front of my house, and the officer was looking at my phone screen, shaking his head. That's criminal mischief and destruction of utility property, he said. And cutting power lines can be dangerous. It's a felony in this state. I didn't have to say another word. Before 2 more officers knocked on Karen's door, I could see her from my living room window. She was trying to play innocent, wearing a fake surprised face. But when they told her they had video evidence, she visibly paled. Asterisk, they asked her to step outside, and then, no. The poetic justice, they cuffed her right there in her driveway, while the other HOA board members who lived nearby peeked out from behind curtains. As she was led to the patrol car, I could hear her shrill voice insisting it was for the safety of the neighborhood. The officers didn't even dignify that with a response. She was driven off, and I thought that would be the end of it. For the day, but I had bigger plans. Asterisk, I called my homeowner's insurance and my utility company. The electric repair crew came out within an hour and confirmed that the damage wasn't just to the surface wiring. She had damaged the main connection point, which would cost over $1,800 to fix. My insurance covered part of it, but I still had an $800 deductible. That deductible was going straight onto my lawsuit against Karen. By noon, I had already contacted an attorney who was thrilled to take my case. Destruction of private property, interference with utilities, trespassing, an intentional infliction of emotional distress. One came with hefty penalties, and because my fish tank's heating system had gone offline for hours, resulting in the death of 2 expensive tropical fish, we were also adding damages for loss of personal property. Asterisk, word spread fast in our neighborhood. By the next HOA meeting that week, everyone knew what had happened. Karen tried to attend via Zoom from her house, but half the members had already filed a petition to remove her from the presidency. I didn't even have to speak. One of her own former allies stood up and said, "We can't have someone representing our community who thinks cutting someone's power is an acceptable way to enforce rules." The room erupted in agreement. Asterisk while Karen was awaiting her first court hearing. My lawyer sent her a demand letter for $5,000 in damages and legal fees. Her attorney tried to lowball me with a $1,000 offer, which I rejected immediately. By the time the case went to court, the judge didn't just side with me, he practically scolded Karen in front of everyone. She was ordered to pay me $7,500, plus court costs, and serve 50 hours of community service. And to make things worse for her, the HOA removal vote passed 26-4. She was officially out. Banned from holding any leadership position again. Asterisk. The final nail in the coffin came when the local paper ran a story about the incident complete, with still shots from my video of her mid-snip in that ridiculous bathrobe. Karen had always liked to think of herself as the queen of the cul-de-sac. But now, she was infamous for being the woman who lost everything because she couldn't let go of a grudge. And me? I made sure every future HOA president knew mess with my property, and you'll end up like Karen, arrested, sued, and voted out in disgrace.